I'm excited for Martin Luther King Day, and not just because it's a day off of school. When I think about the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I am awed and inspired by his courage and his bravery to stand up for what is right. And not only to do that, but to do that with love. The doctrine that Martin Luther King Jr. taught was love. And he taught that when we want to see change in the world, when things are not the way we want them to be in our country, then violence is not the answer. He taught that love is the answer. He taught that open communication is the answer. He taught that peaceful protests are the answer, even if they are met with antagonism, even if they're met with force from the other side. That change will not happen unless it happens through peace. And as I think about his life, and as I think about his death, and as I think about all the hate in the world that was around him when he taught and spoke up and was active in the activism movement of the civil rights, I see a lot of parallels to our day. Today, you can say that there is a lot of hate going around in the world. Maybe you guys are a little young to understand what's going on in all the headlines, but I bet that even just watching little things on the news, you can feel that there's a lot of hate in the world right now. But I want to encourage each of you as we move forward, as we push forward into the future, that hate is not the answer and violence is not the answer. But what is the answer is to follow Martin Luther King Jr.'s example, to follow his example of love, to follow his example of peace. That is how positive change is going to happen in this world. And we need to fight for equal rights for everyone, no matter what race or religion or belief system or identifying ways that they identify with. We need to fight for their freedom. We need to fight so that everyone can have freedom of speech, no matter what they believe. And Martin Luther King believed in our Constitution. He believed in that document that guaranteed freedom for everyone. That is what he stood up for, and that is what he fought for, and that is what he ultimately gave his life for, was that the words in our Constitution that everyone can be free and have the right to have a voice and to have a place in our country, that those words could be realized. So just like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. did, we need to fight for our Constitution. We need to fight to defend our Constitution, because our Constitution is what defends us. Our Constitution is what protects us. There are people in the world that want to knock that down. There are people in the world that want to take away our Constitution that guarantees us freedom. But as we move forward, we need to stand up for what is right, just like Martin Luther King Jr. did, just like all of the people who stood with him did. Martin Luther King Jr. improved the lives of people of color all over the United States, and in effect all over the world because of that. And he did it through love, and he did it through peace. And as we go forward, I want to suggest some things that you can do to follow his example. Some things that you can do to follow his example of love and peace. Something as simple as inviting someone who's different from you to play at recess. It could be smiling at a classmate, helping someone pick up things that they've dropped, sharing a pencil or a toy with someone, letting someone go front of you in a line, asking a classmate how they're doing, and then being willing to listen to their answer. standing up for someone who can't stand up for themselves. That's what Martin Luther King did, and I hope that we can follow his example and do that too. Thank you, and happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I hope that as we go on to our day off of school on Monday, that we can take some time to remember him and remember his legacy and understand why we celebrate him.